But I'm not talking about my movie career here, I'm talking here about much more important things like the environment and energy. I want to talk about the corruption of the democratic process and about forces willing to sabotage this country's economic future for private gain. I want to talk about Texas oil interests that have descended upon California to overturn a California environmental law. And then, as soon as they've done their dirty work, thanks to millions of dollars of scare tactic advertising, they intend, in the words of their own spokesperson, to fold up their tents and go home. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a great drama. There's a great struggle playing out here in California right now that the rest of the world doesn't pay much attention to and knows very little about. And that's why I'm here today to put the spotlight on this very important issue. And let me just say that the entire oil industry is not involved in this deception that I will explain here today. No, there are some oil companies that are trying to do the right thing, but others are not. Oil companies like Valero and Tesoro and Frontier and Koch Industries are blatantly trying to manipulate the will of the people and the public good. And there is a historical precedent for such manipulation. Most people don't know this, but here, let me tell you. In the 1920s, some of the oil and car and tire industries created a small shell company that conspired to quietly buy up the nation's electric rail systems, the light rail systems all over the United States, and then replaced them with buses which were much dirtier and less efficient, but much more profitable for those companies. And they succeeded. By the 1960s, they bought and destroyed electric rail systems in 45 US cities, from Philadelphia to New York to Los Angeles. As a matter of fact, Los Angeles, which had one of the best light rail systems in the world, running 1,000 electric trains a day, the conspirators torched those rail cars, tore up the tracks so that they never can come back. Several companies were convicted of criminal conspiracy. The day Valero and Tesoro and others are also involved in the conspiracy, but not in a criminal conspiracy, but clearly in a cynical one. They are not seeking to buy rail systems, but to buy votes this time. Yet the motivation is the same, which is self-serving greed. 2/3 of Californians approve our state landmark law to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. Do you know who the two most prominent opponents are? Valero and Tesoro. Also two of the state's top polluters. They're behind an initiative on a November ballot called Proposition 23, which would suspend our law to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But in reality, because of the fine print when it comes to unemployment, they really don't want to just suspend it, they want to kill this initiative, they want to kill our laws. And while they're not creating a shell company, they are creating a shell argument that this is about saving jobs. Does anyone really believe that these companies, out of the goodness of their black oil hearts, are spending millions and millions of dollars to protect jobs? This is like Eva Braun writing a kosher cookbook. It's not about jobs at all, ladies and gentlemen. It is about their ability to pollute and thus protect their profits. You want to talk about jobs? I mean, we've proven it over and over that green technology produces a lot of jobs. In Kern County, for instance, we broke ground on the largest wind farm in the world, creating 1,500 jobs. In Fremont, California, Toyota recently formed a partnership with Tesla Motors to build electric cars right here in California, creating an additional 1,000 jobs. And then we just got the permits for building the biggest solar plant in the world, much bigger than the Chinese have built, which will create another 2,000 jobs. So I can give you examples after examples about job creation. As a matter of fact, since 2005, green tech jobs in California have grown 10 times faster than the state-wide average. Green jobs are the single largest source of job growth in California. And we have proven over and over that you can protect the environment and also protect the economy at the same time. Yes, the economy is down. It's down worldwide. We've gone through a worldwide recession. It has nothing to do with our environmental laws. But I have an idea. An idea, if these oil companies are so concerned about our jobs, how about using those millions and millions of dollars that they're spending on those ads to use them for job training for California's emerging green economy? Wouldn't that be a great idea? Think about that. Now, of course, there will be some jobs lost in polluting industries. We will see that, while green industries will see jobs added. That's normal. Those who seek to overturn the law say that the cleaner future is a very nice idyllic dream, but it is way out there in the future. I have news for them. This future is becoming more and more reality. This dream is becoming more reality. The United States Navy has set a goal, for instance, for running half of its fleet. Half of the United States Navy's fleet is going to be run by renewable fuel by the year 2020. Now, if the tradition-bound Navy can do this, it's not radical environmentalism that we're talking about here. It is mainstream possible. I mean, the United States Navy is not some flaky left coast, sandal-wearing, pot-smoking, Berkeley the food eater. Let's be honest. Valero and Tesoro want to stop the movement from old energy to new energy because it means lost market share. That's the bottom line. There's no doubt that we can move to a different economy based on different energy that is not fossil fuel. We can do it. The question is, who is going to reap the huge rewards for doing exactly that? I just got back from China, and we all know that how Beijing is. It's that an equivalent, living there's an equivalent of smoking 2 to 3 packs of cigarettes a day. So they have health reasons to act on carbon reductions, but they also have economic reasons. China has made the decision, backed by billions and billions of dollars, that green tech is where the economic action is going to be. So they are saying green tech is where the economic action is going to be. China is an ancient culture, but with new ideas. We cannot let America be a young culture with old ideas. Those who seek to overturn our carbon reduction law say that the green tech future is too costly. Another excuse, great excuse, huh? But here's what they don't want to tell you. Their cost calculations doesn't include the increased cost of doing business their way, the old way. They don't include the costs, for instance, of rising oil prices as the developing world demands more and more oil. They don't include the costs of job losses that these rising oil prices will force. They don't include the costs of hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks that have gotten and continue to get. They don't include the costs of pollution that they're already causing. The cost of, for instance, the 100,000 Americans who die every year from smog-related diseases. They don't include also the costs of 6.5 million hospital visits a year for smog-related illnesses. They don't include the cost of the next war over oil. And believe me, eventually it will come as we become more and more dependent on oil. I mean, I think that we have had enough wars in the Middle East because of oil. Don't you think so? That is why George Shultz, Ronald Reagan's Secretary of State, is firmly against Proposition 23 and is firmly against what Valero and Tesoro are doing. He believes that energy independence is directly related to our national security. Only a few years ago, energy independence was becoming a priority in this country. After wars in Kuwait and Iraq, and especially after seeing the gasoline prices going up to $5 a gallon. Then the economy fell apart. Then global action on environment fell apart. And then definitely action in Washington fell apart. And now, the last place in the country that major environmental change is still alive is right here in California. Only California has the power now to push this change. So the forces of the past have come to do battle in a state that is known for being America's environmental leader. America may not know what direction it's going. Washington may not know in what direction they may go when it comes to energy or when it comes to the environment. But we here in California do know which direction we want to go. So for decades, Washington has had a void there and has not shown leadership. And that's why California has moved ahead. California uses 40% less energy per capita than the average American. California leads the nation in a number of clean energy companies with more than 12,000. California companies hold 40% of the nation's new patents in solar and in wind technology. California is the first state that has set the goal of having 33% of renewables by the year 2020. We were the first state to have a 1 million solar roof program, and we were the first state to start building a hydrogen highway so that the car manufacturers cannot say, we don't want to produce hydrogen-fueled cars because there are no fueling stations. So we started building the fueling stations, no more excuses there. And now we see more and more hydrogen-fueled cars. Since our green gas standards were passed, billions of dollars in green venture capital has come to our state. The bottom line is we are creating action here in this state. Our investors say that this money represents the seed capital for the world's energy revolution. Last year, I took the French foreign trade minister to a business in San Francisco called Solarsign, which is a company that takes algae and produces biofuel, which is 90% cleaner than oil. The Navy has already taken delivery of its first shipment of algae-based jet fuel. In the last year, entrepreneurs pumped billions and billions of dollars of green tech venture capital into our state. Our requirements to reduce carbon levels has created a market for new energy alternatives. The San Jose Mercury News said that if Proposition 23 passes, clean energy investments will come to a grinding halt. The venture capitalist Vinod Khosla said that Proposition 23 will kill these new markets and thus the largest source of job growth in California. The head of the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, an organization of more than 300 companies that opposes Proposition 23, has said that if California doesn't go forward with our reduced emission standards, we undercut all of those companies and entrepreneurs creating jobs in solar, biofuel, and other renewable forms of energy. Old energy like Valero and Tesoro are all out for Proposition 23. And Silicon Valley is overwhelmingly against Proposition 23. Which side do you believe our economic future is on? Californians, from George Shultz, who is now 90 years old, to young entrepreneurs and investors in Silicon Valley, are trying to get out the word of how important this fight really is. We have only 5 weeks to go now to election day, and we are going to not rest until the last vote is cast. We will work day and night to get out the message that this is not just about California. It is about America's economic prosperity and leadership in the years ahead. This is not just California's fight. California is America's last hope for energy change. We are the last major force pushing for an economy based on new energy. We need your help. That's why I'm here today. We need your help so that the old energy industries cannot buy themselves another 20, 30, 40 more years of the status quo. We had moments before in our history where we were about to become less independent on oil, but we walked away. Each time we walk away, we as a nation become more and more vulnerable. This time, we cannot afford to walk away. And that is what this battle in California is all about. And ladies and gentlemen, we intend to win this battle. Thank you very much. Thank you.